So welcome everybody. This is the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community call. This is the Tuesday 8 a.m. Pacific time call, which is with the Microsoft speakers and happens every single Tuesday except for the holiday and summertime periods and 8 a.m. on Pacific time. My name is Vesa Juvonen. I'm a principal product manager in the Microsoft 365 in general in the community areas and helping things to understand what we can do within the Microsoft Cloud. Now, today we'll go through a typical set of updates and assets which you can take advantage as you start using Microsoft 365 for Power Platform. And then we cover some of the latest news from the Microsoft blogs. Not that many news this week either. I think we're a bit slow still after the holiday season. We'll do a group photo into together mode, which seems to be working, which is awesome. We've been having a bit of a challenges of that one within the recent weeks, but now it seems to be working fine. And then we go to the actual stars of today, who will be today. Waldek is going to talk about extending Copilot for Microsoft 365 with graph connectors. And this is part of a larger series where we won't go through the Microsoft 365 Copilot extensibility options. And we started with an introduction. Last week, we talked about the plugins, and now we talk about the graph connectors. And then we're going to have more samples and sample solutions within the series as well. And we will definitely talk about the Copilot Studio at some point and all of that stuff. DC Padur is going to talk about latest on SharePoint Pages API with Microsoft Graph, and I know DC has some friends helping with the demos over there. And then last but not least will be Sébastien Levert, who's going to talk about what's new in the Microsoft Graph Toolkit version 4.0. So a lot of cool stuff on that side as well. Before we go to the actual stars of today and the demos, we do cover some of the assets because there's always new people within this course and looking into getting familiar with the Microsoft Cloud technologies. So first of all, about our community, you can always find the latest videos and demos and guidance and including the community call recordings from our Microsoft 365 Power Platform community video channel. Subscribe there, you know exactly when the video, immediately when the videos go live. We also have our LinkedIn group for discussions and updates. We do share a lot of stuff in LinkedIn in general, but the group is there for you to have a discussion and share your findings with other people within a group. We have a lot of open source assets available, tooling, SDKs, samples, but as it might be a bit difficult to find the relevant sample for you, we also have these sample galleries, which are really targeted to make it easy to find the relevant sample for you. And a lot of URLs to remember. Luckily, there's actually only one, which is akms/community/home, which is the one location where you can find all of these different assets. We are, by the way, redesigning that site pretty soon. Stefan Bauer is signing up on that work, so that should be super excited to see what Stefan is coming up with our community site sooner or later. Now, you are in the community call, so you're familiar with some of these community calls. We do have quite a lot of them. So we have the weekly community call with the Microsoft speakers. On top of that, we have the Power Platform monthly community call and the Office Admins monthly community call. They happened actually for January already last week and week before. On top of those, we have our 7 a.m. Thursday series, which is either the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community call or the Viva Connection and SharePoint Framework community call. So those are flipping on Thursdays, 7 a.m. bi-weekly. So that means that every single week at 8 a.m. on Tuesday, 7 a.m. on Thursday, we have something for you if you want to hang with the community and chat and have fun within the chat or throughout the call. You can join and see other people within the community. You can find all of the downloads from AKMS community course, and the agendas and details about the course are typically published a week before at our meetup channel. So we have 1,600 people already registered for the meetup. Great way of actually getting an email whenever an agenda is getting published within your inbox, so you know exactly what's happening then next week. So great option as well. Within the community calls, we do welcome our community presenters. So really big part of these community calls is for seeing what people are building. So real world scenarios, we're learning something, or maybe you got familiar with something like Copilot Studio or got familiar on building, let's say, SharePoint Framework solutions or Power Platform stuff. Sign up for a demo. This doesn't have to be a rocket science, so they can be simple samples and helping people to get started on things. So it doesn't have to be anything super magnificent from a technical perspective. What we want to do here is basically teaching people on getting started in medium technology and higher technology things. Everybody is welcome to present. So sign up at AKMS Community Request Demo. As you're looking into getting started on Microsoft Cloud, please sign up for our Microsoft 365 Developer developer tenant. That is a free program to get a free tenant, E5 tenant, which will renew automatically in every single 90 days as long as you use it for developer purposes. And of course, as you have the developer tenant and the demo environment, please use our Learn material to actually get started and understand what you can do within the Microsoft 365 or Microsoft Cloud in general. Now, we also have different platform shows available. So the Microsoft 365 PMP Weekly is hosted by me and Waldek Mastykarz, who's going to do the first demo of today. Then we have the bi-weekly Mondays at Microsoft, hosted by Caruana Gatimu and Heather Cook, which is happening in LinkedIn and in the YouTube. So a nice 30-minute show bi-weekly as well. And then on top of that, we have the Microsoft 365 Developer Podcast, hosted by Jeremy Fake, Paul Schaffelin, Aisha Bass, and a few others every now and then. It's been on a break for a while, but I'm still hearing some rumors that it might be actually coming back pretty soon, hoping, crossing my fingers for seeing that.
It's coming back.
It's coming back. Right, Fabian?
It's coming back, yeah. I'm just managing cadence.
Cool. Now, thank you for confirming that, Fabian. Fabian is reporting to Jeremy Fake, so he has contacts. He knows these people. Now, related on samples, and as you're starting to build something or using the Microsoft 365 or the Power Platform, you might be wondering, okay, what are the other people building? Please take advantage of our unified sample gallery at the AKMS Community Samples, easiest location to find the relevant sample for you. We are linking them the samples and assets which are available in GitHub. So, but from this portal, you can easily find all of the different samples created by Microsoft or community. So making it super easy for you to get started on building experiences and adjusting your experiences within Microsoft Cloud. As you find the sample, you might be wondering, oh my God, I'm in GitHub, what do I do now? And that's why we have our Sharing is Caring initiative. And David Warner, directly from LA, is going to recap what this is all about.
Yes, thank you, Vesa, direct from LA, via Finland. We are a team. So, friends, we know you probably know what this is. In case you don't, it is a program that provides you hands-on guidance. And it's kind of been hibernating for the winter and for a while, and we appreciate your patience. We are getting things booted back up and just trying to work through some of those logistics to get that scalability out there. But it provides hands-on guidance and a safe space opportunity that does not cause you to be afraid to ask any questions, which means we don't record it. So be on the lookout for that, ak.ms/sharing is caring for the latest updates. And then once you do, we have our recognition program, which is fantastic, alive and well, thriving because of all the work that you're doing. We want to recognize you in a way that is formal and accredited and official. And this is why it is powered by Credly. So we've got our 2024 badges. There we go, spinning into view. Definitely just hit over 1,000 participants. So help us increase the reach and get recognized. ak.ms/community/recognition, absolutely no cost. Just give us your GitHub account and the email associated to it, and we'll send you those badges. Vesa, back to you in Finland.
Excellent. Thank you, LA, for this one. I am so jealous about the sun over there because we have 2 feet of snow and it's dark, but spring is coming.
I will trade you in a heartbeat. How ironic is that?
There we go. Thank you, David, on that one. Quick recap on all of the awesome conferences which are coming up in 2024. The first bigger conference is happening in April 13th, May 1st and May 2nd, with some workshops before and after. Is the Microsoft 365 conference, where we have a lot of capabilities and the latest around the Microsoft AI features, Microsoft 365 Copilot, Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Viva, and so on. So a lot of presenters already signed up from a community side, and more is going to be announced from the Microsoft side as well. So we have the really highest possible presidents and CVPs coming to this conference as well. Looking forward to seeing you there. We also have our European Collaboration Summit happening in 14th to 16th of May. This is happening in Wiesbaden, which is right next to Frankfurt. So you can directly fly to Frankfurt Airport, which is one of the hubs within Europe. So you can easily find the location. And this definitely was the biggest conference last year around Microsoft 365 Power Platform with 2,500 attendees. So a lot of people actually in the European Collaboration Summit beating that number this year as well. We also have the TechCon 365 happening this year at Seattle, DC, and Dallas, starting from June at Seattle. TechCon365.com, more details in there. This conference used to be called EduCon 365, but just to avoid that it's not about education, just, well, it is about education, but not only for educational organizations. They changed the name to be about TechCon 365. And again, June 3rd, starting from Seattle. And then in autumn, we have the awesome the Microsoft Power Platform Conference happening in Las Vegas in September 18th to 2024. And obviously, on top of these conferences, we will still have Build and Ignite coming 2024 as well, organized by Microsoft, but those dates are not yet available, so we're not sharing those yet in here. On top of these events and the bigger events, there's a lot of smaller events happening all around the world. So if you're looking into meeting other community members, or you're looking into maybe presenting some of these smaller events first before you go to the bigger stages, and these are great opportunities for that. Actually, the Lagos already happened, but the next one is in February. No, Lagos hasn't happened. We are still in January. So there's a lot of events happening all around the world. So please use the communitydays.org as the location where you can find all of the individual events organized by our community members and Microsoft and other organizers as well. Now, the news section today, I quickly touched this when we started, and not a massive amount of new news in the different areas. But again, across the stack, we have news around Microsoft Teams, SharePoint, Viva, Power Platform, the Copilot Studio, and so on. So please check out the list of all of the latest news from the chat. You can recap all of those things from there. Before we go to the group photo, we also have Surpi here to do a quick recap on the Teams platform updates. So something new on that side. Surpi, take it away.
Thank you, Vesa. Hello, everyone. So a quick update, introducing the Teams Toolkit command line interface, or Teams Toolkit CLI version 3. It's not just a command line interface, it's your accelerator for Teams application development. Picture this as a text-based interface designed to turbocharge your Teams application development experience. We've crafted it with a keyboard-centric approach to make building Teams apps smoother and more efficient. So do try it out, and we want to hear from you. If you have any feedback or suggestion, please post on aka.ms Teams platform feedback. The link is available in the footer. You could also configure to the RSS feed to get regular platform updates. Thank you, and with that, over to you, Vesa.
Thank you, Surfi, and thank you for staying up late on sharing your updates within the community call. Really, really cool as well. Now, before we go to the actual stars of the day on the demos, let's do a quick group photo. We can see that together mode is working fine today. So if you enable your camera and you're willing, we'll grab a GIF animation from here. We'll share it in social media. Clearly, Stephanie is ready to go on the middle with waves. That's really good. And Bill is in the middle together with Waldek. You can do a high five. Can you hit yourself? Yeah, almost. Yeah, pretty cool. The other direction, Waldek. Good. We have 50 seats in the room. Oh, there's a lady in the front row. That's interesting. So we'll get the recording moving in a second. Sébastien on the back. Now we're pretty much. Oh, there we go. Sébastien knows how this can be done. I guess we maxed out the rooms. Let me put the recording on. And 3, 2, 1. Let's do some hand waving, everybody. Excellent. Thank you for joining once again on the community call. Awesome to see those smiling faces all around the world. And just love the fact that we're able to do this with the technology. Really, really, really cool. Thank you for that one. A bit choppy today, but it's okay. We'll grab a GIF animation out of that. Excellent, excellent. Thank you for that. And then we are ready to go to the actual stars of today. And we'll start with Waldek, related on extending Copilot for Microsoft 365 with Graph connectors. And there we go. We can see the slides.
Brilliant. All right. As you said, we will today spend 15 minutes to talk about extending Copilot for Microsoft 365 with Microsoft Graph connectors, right? So you might have already heard, right, that there are, like, when you think about where the data is stored, there are two main ways in which you can extend Copilot for Microsoft 365. You can either use a connector, which means that you are importing the data from your external apps into to Microsoft 365, right? And then another one is to build a plugin, which means that Copilot will retrieve the data on the fly based on your prompt, right? So when you send a prompt, it will match the tools that it has available, and then it will find one that matches your prompt, and based on that, it will reach out to it on the fly. So keep that in mind when you think about different ways in which you can bring additional info that isn't a part of that isn't a part of Microsoft 365 to Copilot, right? Now, when you think about a connector, right, like it's built based on three pillars, right? So first one, it requires a connection. A connection is kind of, think about it as a contract or a place into which you ingest the content from your external source, right? So first, you always need a connection. You create it on your tenant. Two, a connector creates a schema. Schema defines the shape of the data that you want to import, right? And when you look at that, you will find that it will have properties, different types. So we will go more into depth about that. And then the final part in there is that it ingests the content, right? So you've got three elements. Again, you have the connection, which is the place into which you ingest the content. Then you have schema, which is the shape of the content you ingest. And then the third part is actually ingesting the content from your external source to Microsoft 365. I guess so far so good, right? When you think a connector, it can be really simple. Like in its easiest, simplest shape, it could be a PowerShell script. All you need is an Entra app reg, right? So basically the contract you establish between your app and Microsoft Cloud, saying what your app is, the way it can authenticate, and permissions that it needs on Microsoft 365, right? So that is the one element you get. Then the next part is you need 3 calls to Microsoft Graph APIs. Again, a call to create a connection, to create schema, and finally import the items from your external system to Microsoft 365. Right? So it's something like if you have a data store, maybe it's FAQ, maybe it's document, maybe some other things that you want to import, right? And you only want to do it once. You could, in theory, write a PowerShell script and just do it one-off, and that would be your connector. There will be a fully fledged connector that you run only once. If you have a data store that, let's say, lives, and the files that are there are being kept up to date, and it's more elaborate, you can make it as elaborate as a fully fledged cloud app with incremental crawls, managing ACLs, whatever you want, right? So you can scale it out from a single PowerShell script that it could be to a fully fledged cloud app that works with queues, that handles incremental crawls, that manages access, that even has maybe its own admin interface, so that admin have more control about the data you ingest, right? So it all depends. Like you have all ability, you can basically use the power of the cloud in any way you want. All depends on your needs, right? So a connector can be as small and as big as you need, basically matching those needs that you have for your case, right? With that, the basics in place, final check. Is that clear? Do you understand what a connector is, the way it works, right? Roughly. I don't see any nods, so give me some thumbs ups. I get a thumbs up, I get an applause. All right, let's see if it will be clearer if we show it in action. So I've got here a connector that I've built in C#. I hope that is fine with you. If not, we have also other examples that you can check afterwards. But basically, you know, the way it works is exactly the same. Right? Again, we start with a connection. So in connection, what do we need to say? We need to give it an ID. We need to give it a name, the name that we will see, and we need to give it a inscription, right? So that afterwards we know what this connection and connector is about, right? So these are three basic things that we need to include at minimum. There are some other things that we can add there as well, but for now, let's just stick with the ID, description, and a name. Then second element is schema, right? Which again defines the shape of the data that we are importing. The connector that you're seeing here now is a connector that imports some of the Microsoft Graph docs that we have on Microsoft Learn, right? So we use that. So for every article that we pull in from Microsoft Learn, we will define a title, which is a string. We will be able to query on it, search on it, and there's also this important part, a label, right? When you want to use Microsoft Graph connector with Copilot from Microsoft 365, there are three labels you have to include, or the content will not show up. You need to have a title, you need to have a URL, and you have to have icon, which I don't have here, but I'm going to cheat around that, right? So these are basically the three things you need to have in here, right? For a content to work. And in this case, we're also including description and a URL, because again, when you get a reference, you want to point to the original item that lives at a URL, right? So that as a user who gets the answer, you're able to navigate to that original source where the item is stored, right? So far, the shape of the connection and schema that we've got. Now, when it comes to actually creating all of that, right? Again, it's three Microsoft Graph calls. First one is to create a connection. And for that, like in this case, we use the C# SDK for Microsoft Graph, and it's just single call. Client, external, connections, post, async. So with that, we use the info that we've got in here, the connection part, and we send it to Microsoft Graph. With that, we create a connection that we can now use. The next step is to create schema, right? So again, another call that we've got, client external, we use the connection that we created, and on it, we create schema. And this operation takes anywhere between 3 minutes and a few more, depending on time of day you use it, right? So I will not run this code now, but know that when you do that, you might need to wait a minute or two, basically to see all of that being done in place, right? So with that, you have everything you need to start ingesting the content that you want to import to Microsoft 365, and then eventually make available for Copilot, right? So that covers the part where we create the connection and create schema. Then the final part is ingesting the content. Again, in this case, the connector that you see now imports some of the articles that we have on Microsoft Learn about Microsoft Graph. No matter your source, you can think about it as a connector works basically the way it imports the content consists basically of 3 steps. There's always extraction. You are always extracting the data from a source. You will transform the data after you extracted it to match the shape that it needs to have in Microsoft Graph. And then finally, the step is to upload actually the content to Microsoft Graph. So it's ETL. If you work with the data in the past, you might have known that ETL is kind of the same process where you connect to a data store, extract the data to it, from it, change its shape, and then load it into another store. A connector is exactly that. It's doing exactly the same, right? So in this case, if you look at extraction, what does that do? Well, it reads the files, the markdown files that I've got from disk. That is it, right? And here I do some additional work where I change the markdown to HTML because Graph Connector doesn't know anything about markdown, but it can deal with HTML, basically to have that richer output, right? So that's the first part. When we extract the content, in this case, all I need to do is to read the files from disk. Then the next part is I need to change the files that I've got on disk to become the external items, which you see here, that I will upload to Microsoft Graph. right? So in here, basically what I do is that for every file that I got from disk, I'm going to get an ID. I'm going to fill in the data that I've got, which is the title, description, URL, and the content, which is the actual blob, the body of a doc, right? So that's what we are indexing, and that is what LLM will use basically to get the rich answer to users, right? And here we say HTML. And the final part is when you ingest the data from an external source to with a connector, you set on it ACLs. You're telling basically who has access to this item. It can be everybody in the org. It can be everybody external, everybody except external users, or it can be a intra group or an external group or a user, right? So it's up to you, but keep in mind that you have at all times the ability to keep track and to set who's got the access to it so that you are not exposing the data from your external store to a broader group than intended, right? Keep this in mind. This is a really fundamental part, right? And that kind of wraps up the part where we change the shape of the data from that we extract to match the data that we want to import to Microsoft Graph. The final part is actually the importing the data itself. And again, this is just a single API call that we do. For every item that we want to import, what we do is we get the reference to connection and then get items and we upload the item. And that is basically it. And we repeat that for every single item that we want to have available in Microsoft 365 and then also make available for LLMs. I guess so far so good. Any questions? Check, double check.
A lot of random discussion on the chat, but I don't
Perfect.
think we have a time to.
Excellent. All right. Cool. Yeah. Right. So there are two benefits that you get when you import a content from an external source with a connector. First, it appears in search. So what you're seeing here is I am now in the Microsoft 365 app. I searched for something from my external source. Again, in this case, we are importing the data or the articles from Microsoft Graph docs that we have on Microsoft Learn, right? And here you're seeing basically the results in my search, in my tenant search. But if you look at the reference, they point to the original article that we have in Microsoft Learn. So that is a really great way for folks to be able to find relevant things, no matter where they are, but be able to find them from a single place, right? So that is really cool. One, the content you import is going to appear in search. But what we are really after here is to be able to get the answers when we talk to Copilot from Microsoft 365, right? So that is exactly what you're seeing here on a screen. Here was my original prompt, how to create a Microsoft Graph client. And I'm getting here, all of the answer with different steps and so forth and so on. But the key part here is the reference here. This is what you see here. This info is coming. This is basically the proof, the evidence that this info is coming from the external source that we have ingested, right? So it shows internal, and here's the link basically to that external article that we brought into Microsoft 365. And again, in this case, it's just the Microsoft Graph docs, but it can be really anything, any data type, anything that you want to bring that is external to Microsoft 365, right? So this is a really great way if you have unstructured data that you want people to be able to search through really easily without having to, go to another apps. So with that, I hope that you got in a nutshell an idea about how it all works. I would encourage you to give it a try if you want to learn more about this ability. Just the other day, we published a new module of Microsoft Learn that takes you step by step, explains you all theory about how it all works. And the cool thing is that you will be able to do it at your own pace, right? So you will go through about all theory about the connectors, how they all work, different elements that they've got, again, ACLs, permissions. And then also there are hands-on parts in there too. So you'll be able to actually learn it and experience that too, right? So if you have a minute or two, go through it. You'll really appreciate it. And it's really invaluable thing to know. So one, right? Go to Learn, check the module. And then the next part is check out the samples that we've got, because again, that will help you understand what are different things that you can do, what connectors can you build. And we've got examples in .NET, JavaScript, TypeScript, PowerShell, Python, Java, right? So no matter which language you want to use, we have an example for that, and they are a really great way to learn. Finally, if you want to know more, do let us know. We're here to help. And with that, I will hand it over back to Vesa.
Excellent. I will not be talking too long, so let's jump on DC Padur directly and talking about the latest on SharePoint Pages API in Microsoft Graph.
Thank you very much, Vesa.
Excellent. We can hear you fine, DC. This is good.
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're dialing from. Thank you for joining the call today, and thank you for the opportunity, the community, for me to present the updates on the Graph API for SharePoint Pages. We've been on this journey to present a Graph API, a GA version of the Graph API for SharePoint Pages for quite some time now, and understandably so. It's a complicated engineering project, and we are working really hard. And apologies that we've been a little late in our reaching our GA goal, but here is a significant update I want to share with you all to let you know that we're very close to getting to GA and share some updates to how we are planning this rollout. This is my team. As Vesa had alluded, they were going to join from China, but unfortunately, everybody is sick there, and I am going to play a video from my engineers from China. Moving on, the current beta API that's been available for quite some time now can basically work on creating a page or a news post type. You can get a list of them from your site page library, get a specific item from the library, create a new page or a news post. And we had recently last year added the ability to edit sections and web parts of a given page, publish, and of course delete. And this beta version is going to continue supporting the ability for pages and news posts. And over the past several months, we've been working on getting to a better quality V1.0 experience. And to that end, we have come up with, based on our research and a lot of understanding of how the API is used, top scenarios, we've basically rolling out a GA version of the Pages API, and the ETA for that is in a couple of months. By end of March, we should have this API in the V1.0 API available in all of the clouds. And the scoped experience that we are rolling out with our high confidence is support for the top 14 Microsoft provided web parts and any third-party web part. So you can create or modify a page with any of these supported web parts. And if you're only doing read-only actions, you have access to any page, any kind of news post or site page that's been created. And the reason we've done that is to enhance the experience of validating the payload and improving client-side error experiences. And we've been looking into what makes the most sense for API scenarios. So obviously, we are going to continue listening to our community members and our partners and our customers to continuously improve. But as a starting point, we are having for the creating and editing scenarios of specific page and news post, 14 supported web parts, and you have the list in here, and any third-party web part, which we've heard a strong feedback from our customers. So we're going to continue with the third-party web part support. With that, I'm going to play a video walking through 4 scenarios in here, and my devs have done a phenomenal job of recording that video, and I'm going to play.
Related to validating web parts for Pages API. Here are my manager Ning, my partner Hanbin, and our PM DC. We will do this demo from the following 4 scenarios. Create a page with supported web parts. Create a page with unsupported web parts. Validation of web parts data for supported web parts. Browser error details for better troubleshooting. At the beginning, I need to introduce my test environment. The left side represents the internal testing environment, and the right side showing Graph Explorer. We will use canary endpoint to finish the demo. The first scenario is to create a page with supported web parts. In our G endpoint, we are supporting the top used web parts for API scenarios, besides all third-party web parts support. Now, let's explore the first scenario. I have added 3 web parts in the page payload. One is the third-party web part, the stock web part, and the others are supported first-party web parts, quick links, and the divide web part. After running the query, the page will be created in the current site. After refreshing the page and opening the site page, you can observe 3 web parts, and we can check to see if these web parts are working properly. The previous demo scenario was to create a page with supported web parts. In the second scenario, we aim to demonstrate create a page with unsupported web parts. In the page payload, we add 2 unsupported web parts, namely the sites and the news web parts, and you can see them in the video. After sending the request, it won't create a new page due to the presence of unsupported web parts. Instead, it will return an error message indicating that the request is invalid, with details about the unsupported web parts type ID on the entire page load. This information is valuable for identifying and removing the unsupported web parts from the request body. The previous scenarios are to demo whether web part is supported. In the third scenario, we aim to demonstrate the validation of properties for supported web parts. In this scenario, we will check if web parts properties meet the specified requirements. We will be using a page payload for this demonstration. In order to demo this scenario, I firstly need to set some error value for some properties of web parts. For quick links web parts, I changed the value of is migrated from a Boolean to a string. Make the image weights from number to a string. And make the alt text from a string to a number. For the divider web part, the maximum length is 100, so I set it to 1000 and make the weight from number to a string. After running the query, you can observe the error message that has been generated. This message will provide details about the incorrect properties and values across all web parts. This detailed error feedback is crucial for identifying and correcting the properties that need to be updated to the correct values in the web parts. And you can see this is the quick links web part. It has some error properties. And this is the divide web part. It also has some error properties. The previous demo scenarios are all related to sending requests. And the last scenario is to demo the client-side error when page loads. In this scenario, I have added a break YouTube part in the page. And you see it shows something went wrong. And when we use Pages API to create the web parts, we will add additional fields named into web part properties. It contains two values. One is the API version, and the other is the creation time. We can see this field in the maintenance mode. Now we can see it is called modify by graph. Okay, let's back. If there is a problem during the runtime of a part, those two messages will be displayed in the error message. We can explain this to see its detail. It will display some error information like the web part was modified by Pages API graph 1.0 on January 23, 2024. This information will help in understanding and resolving the issue more correctly. Okay, the above are all our demo scenarios. Thank you.
The ETA for this is March, and as I mentioned, the demo was from our internal environment, so the endpoints and the experiences are not yet available publicly. And we will, once we roll out, there'll be a blog post, and we'll have an FAQ section and address the top questions raised in here as well. And we look forward to more engagement and usage from our customers, and we'll come back with more updates to the API in the future as well. That's
Cool.
the end of my sessions. Vesa, back to you.
Excellent. That's good. Thank you, DC, for being specific on that one. Awesome. Really, really cool. Awesome to have this one finally rolling out. March is not too far away, so we are heading to GA pretty very soon. Thank you, DC,
Yes.
on that update. And then Sébastien is here, almost ready to go with the updates on the Microsoft Graph Toolkit. Not yet. Screen sharing almost started and then it failed.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it actually got a failure. Interesting. Ooh, that sounds bad.
Access denied. Computer says no.
Yeah,
There we go. Much
it
better.
works.
It works. We
Awesome.
can see it. We can hear it. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, folks, my name is Sébastien. I am a PM on the Microsoft Graph Developer Experience team. And today I'm coming to introduce what we are currently working on to bring a new major version of the Microsoft Graph Toolkit. First, as a quick recap, what is the Microsoft Graph Toolkit? So we're going to cover that. Then we're going to talk about what's new in V4, and we have tons of news over there. So that's really cool. Hopefully, you're going to be able to take advantage of all the nicey and shiny stuff that we're shipping in a couple of days from now. And finally, we're going to do some demos. We're going to see some live code and some live stuff happening. But before, what's the Microsoft Graph Toolkit? The Graph Toolkit is a collection of reusable framework agnostic component and auth providers that allows you to connect to Microsoft Graph in a seamless way without even you thinking about auth, about components, about anything. You can think about them as drop-in components inside your apps that are already connected to Microsoft Graph and just looks like Microsoft 365. They're fully functional, but they're customizable. So you can really bring them to look like your own app. You can bring them to behave like your own app. And it works with any web framework. So you're not stuck in React or in Angular, in Vue, in Blazor, in name it. You bring the components where you need them. And we're going to provide some really cool capabilities to enable these different scenarios. And it works on all modern browsers, right? And I think today, basically all browsers are modern. Well, that's how I like to think about the world. Not everybody will agree on that, but that's how I see it. First, why would you use the Graph Toolkit? First, it cuts on dev time. Building a person card, building a person component, building a people picker takes time, takes a lot of reflection, takes a lot of thinking, takes a lot of implementation time. We did all of that for you already. Just bring our people picker and use it. It's beautiful, but it's flexible. It looks like an M365 experience, but you can fully customize it and bring your own colors, your own theming. You can do all of that. And finally, it works everywhere. We have capabilities to let you build in on the web, in Electron to build some sort of Windows or Mac or Linux apps. You can really bring it anywhere. Now, what's new in the version 4 of the toolkit? The toolkit is coming with a bunch of new capabilities, and I'm going to start talking about the new capabilities, and we're going to go into some of the more maintenance thing that we have done. So first, what's new? We have tons of new things. Now, our to-do experience will support editing to-dos. So now you will be able to bring in a to-do component inside your application and being able to add new tasks, delete tasks, edit tasks, change dates, and so on and so forth. That will really, really, really position this component as a super productivity booster. Second thing, our people picker now supports presence. A good example is if you want to start a conversation, if you want to add people to a thread, if you want to add people to, I don't know, what you're building, now you're going to know who's online and who's not. Really, really, really powerful. MGT search box and MGT search results are now generally available. So they were marked as preview in the past. They will be fully available as general availability. Our MGT picker, which is our generic way to pick an entity from Graph, will now support nested values and key name. What does it mean? It means that you will be able, for example, to use localized capabilities. For example, on the taxonomy picker, to go and select the French version of a word or the Spanish version of a word. That's going to be great for boosting productivity in terms of development time. And the MGT People Picker also now supports rendering the person card as part of the selected items. That's something we were not promoting before or not allowing. Now people will be able to view the full person card on selected items right there. Auth providers. The Graph Toolkit is a community effort, right? It's all open source, it's on GitHub, and we have people that really care about their experience, the way that they're thinking about their apps, the way that they're thinking about their development. And we have a community member that came in and created something called an Electron Context Bridge Provider that really brings MGT into the modern world of Electron to build Windows, Mac apps. So that's really, really, really cool. So we're really excited about this one. We're seeing a lot of usage in Electron of the Graph Toolkit because it's cool. It's integrated in the native experience. Now, from a developer experience standpoint, we have improved a lot of things. First, we're deprecating ES5 in our MGT loader. You will not be able to use the MGT loader to bring MGT on a page. You will need to go through regular script modules to do that. Why? Security reasons. It's becoming a really, really big deal to have a loader-like experiences, but also all modern browsers supports it today. So we love to think that developers should be using modern ways to build apps, and that's exactly what we're doing here. We're going to bring lighter bundle sizes. So now, every single time you're going to use a toolkit, we're going to bundle just what you're using. Meaning that if you're not using the person card, we will not be bundling it for you. So all the bundle size, either in React or using the web components, will be super lighter. We're making massive async performance enhancements because we have been upgrading our base framework called Lit to the latest version, and we're taking advantage of a lot of their work. So really, really cool stuff there. We now have scope-aware requests, which was probably one of the biggest complaints from developers. Let's pretend that your app has user.read.all already consented. The user can do user.read.all. Our components did not know about this, and our components only needed user.read. So when you were accessing an area that this component was being made visible, we would prompt you for your consent as a user. Now we don't, because we know that user.read.all will work as a supersede of user.read. So the experience for the end user and the way that you're thinking about your components as a dev is hugely better, the way that we're building this. Our enums will become string unions, better for devs, better experience, better for docs. Everything is just better there. We are going to deprecate the MGT SPFX package now that we have completed our work around disambiguation. So you will not need to have that package dropped into your app catalog to leverage the toolkit. That's a thing of the past. You will now bundle all the components you need of the toolkit inside your app, and everything should work by default starting with v4. That's going to be a lot easier also to acquire apps built with MGT on the store. Now we're going to have a logged in experience in mgt.dev, so our playground where you can play with MGT and learn about how to build stuff will now have the ability to be logged in. You're going to get now React snippets as part of our mgt.dev and on Learn. So all of our documentation will now include React snippets, which was a big miss for us in the past for technical reasons, but now it's there. And finally, we're going to have a full stack Blitz integration. So that's what is new, and that's why we had to bring all of these really, really cool things. There's a lot of foundational things that are breaking changes. We have a ton of breaking changes in that version. So please check it out. But we're excited about this. We are a couple of days away from shipping the official V1, well, not V1, V4 version, the GA version. So please keep that in mind. And so many bug fixes. Just going to put them there. That list might actually grow. But we have so much bug fixes that I tried to make them all fit on a screen. It did, but it's kind of a little small here. So let's go and let's do a little demo here and show you what's really new here. Let me do that, and let's hope that not too many things are broken. We should be good. So first, we have a new experience for our playground. The first thing you're going to notice is, let me zoom in a little bit so it looks okay for you, all of you. We now have a sign-in experience. Now you can sign into the playground to play with your own data at your own risk, but with your own data. That means that you're not only leveraging the content that lives in the Microsoft Graph Sandbox, which is the one we're also using for the Graph Explorer, but now you can actually play with your data. So let's start with this. I'm going to sign in here. Hopefully everything works. Let's call for the demo gods today. Yes, I want to stay signed in. And there we go. So now I'm signed in. You can see my little face here on top. The second thing we did is we restructured all of our playground to have all of these nice sections. First with the docs, where you have the ability to see our documentation in there and all the different attributes and all the different properties and the events that this actually renders. But also we have the ability now to have our HTML and our React component side by side. So for example, if I go to HTML, you're going to see our HTML, the JavaScript file or the code that might be here, or the CSS code, and same thing for React. So now you actually have the ability to copy that code, bring that into your app, and you're good to go. So now you know exactly how to bring React capabilities straight inside your app. If you're building a spa, if you're building an SPFX web part, all of those will be how you do that. What is also really, really cool is we added a small button here on top, that button right there. That button actually creates on the fly a Stack Blitz capability. And what it does here, it allows you to edit that code and really start playing around this capability to improve it, to match it to your own business scenarios. Why did we do that? Is to really give you the control you need to be able then afterwards to share it with us when you want to say maybe there's a bug in the toolkit, or maybe, hey, I'd love to make that scenario available. Can you come and help us? That's exactly what we're doing. Now it takes a couple seconds, and then you're going to see in 1 or 2 seconds our agenda loading side by side here. So that's really, really cool. It's really powerful to be able to expand to Stack Blitz to be able to continue your development journey. One thing that I want to show from a breaking change perspective, here I already have an HTML one, so basically the web component version of it. You will now have to register all the components you need. So to have, for example, in this case, to have the theme toggle here and the agenda component here, in our app.js, here, you will see here that we are registering all the MGT components. Without this code, the entire capability on the right will now be fully blank. Why? Because now it tells your build engine, do 2 things. Register the components in the UI, but also build them. Bring them in your package. This one is the register MGT components. It registers everything. There's no gain here. But you can go at the level of every single component. Register MGT person, register MGT login. That's going to really, really help with bundle size. You will not be able to use MGT without registering any of these components. If you're using React, we're already taking care of that. You won't have to do it with React because we're already wrapping the web components and we're going to do the registration for you. So that's, well, basically those are the things that I wanted to show to you today. Lots of things coming up. We're, as I said, potentially a couple of days away from the release of the Microsoft Graph Toolkit v4. We'd love to get your feedback. You can already install it. All documentation is on our repo. And with that, I'll hand it back to you, Vesa, and thanks for being there today.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Sébastien, on that one. Really, really cool updates and awesome to see simplification. I love the fact that we're getting things better for developers. That's always a good direction. Now, thank you, Waldek. Thank you, DC. And thank you for the great video, DC, as well. And thank you, Sébastien, on the updates on the things. Really, really cool. For next week, we'll continue the series related on Copilot extensibility. And this time, there's going to be a live demo on ingesting a local markdown content using .NET and C#. And that's really related on that graph connector storyline. And then we have Mark Windel coming from the SharePoint Embedded site and talking about the introduction on SharePoint Embedded. So what is it? What does it can do, and what's the benefits out of using that, and all of that things. That's part of another series which we're starting related on SharePoint Embedded on top of the Copilot extensibility. We might have a third demo here, has not yet been confirmed, so that's why 2 is being mentioned. We also have our Discord channel, Discord server available. We are hitting 1,500 pretty soon here, so it is actually super popular, getting more and more people sign up for there. So if you're interested on sharing, asking questions and sharing learnings from other people within a community, that is a new option for you to take advantage. Really important thing for us is that please give us feedback. What do you think about these community calls? That feedback will keep on helping us to keep on executing these calls in the future. So if you have time, please take advantage of that at AKMS community calls and feedback. So that information is always shared with our management chain so that we can keep on doing these calls. But that's it for now. The recording will be available within 24 hours at Microsoft 365 Power Platform Community YouTube channel. Subscribe there today. You'll know exactly when it goes live. Follow us on Twitter, the easiest way to also know whenever there are new announcements. And the next community call is happening on January 13th, end of January already. So next Tuesday at 8 a.m. On top of that, this week, 7 a.m. Thursday call based on the series. You can have a look on the available community calls at AKMS Community Forces calls. And that's it for now. Thanks, everybody. Awesome demos. And I love the active interactive discussions always in the chat. Thank you for those. Really awesome to see all of the community members within these calls. Thanks, everybody. Stay safe, and we'll see you on the next call. Thank you. Bye-bye.